talking about getting users and marketing. So what I do is I actually use Google Analytics in Android. I started using that when they first announced it at the first Dev.io. And I get heat maps for world usage. And so I can see how many people all over the world are using my app, which is a really cool feeling too. So that was like probably one of my aha moments, was when I got to see that thousands of people in Korea downloaded my colorblind app, and either they have a colorblind epidemic or something, something strange is going on. I had word information coming back to me, and it was really powerful. And so, so as far as marketing goes, though, so I'll just explain the picture there. But as far as marketing goes, you want to release often. So a lot of places will give you higher presence on their social marketing and things like that each time you release. So you want to release, if you possible, once a week. Coming out with some new feature or something, user will see it, and then you'll get better feedback about whether people like your game or not, as to whether they uninstall it by the time you've done the release. So, because it's kind of like that whole thing with Flash, bugging you all the time for an update. Do you really want to update Flash? Do you want it to stop bothering you, or do you want to uninstall it because it's bothering you so much and HTML5 has had so much adoption that you're not worried about it anymore? So that's a big thing. Blog, YouTube, Twitter, really like no-brainers. But one thing I've been working on lately, as an idea that I've had for a while, is that you should automate your marketing. I forget to write tweets. I forget to do things like that. So when I say automate your marketing, I've been working on a tool that will allow me to queue up, 360 unique tweets, and then let it tweet once a day. And then that sounds like spam, but really what's happening is you're just maintaining a presence even when you're too busy to get to Twitter and things like that. But the idea is that you don't want to have repetitive tweets. You don't want to spam people. You just want to go ahead and keep people looking at your stuff. Like that's the whole idea. Marketing by far has been the hardest part of this for me for the entire process. Getting people to adopt this, getting people to use it, it's probably the hardest thing. Because one, I don't like bothering people. I don't like spamming people. I don't like, I don't like being a burden to anyone around me. And if I'm talking to people about my stuff, I feel like I'm being a burden, like I feel about being a burden to you guys right now. Hopefully this is valuable. You want to also actively participate in forums. If you have some interests or something like that, people find out that you're working on something like this, they immediately go in, upvote you, and say things like that. So if you're in a community like greater than a few hundred people, then you can get a really big kickstart when your apps launch, because people will be like, oh hey, even if it's something about like a football forum or something, and you constantly talk to these same group of people all the time, those people will be advocates for your software. So if you don't have one of those, maybe go find one. But it takes a lot of work, so it's not something that I'm like too into. However, it does help people when they do their releases. This is another one of like going outside and bothering other people, which is emailing bloggers and asking them to review your stuff. A lot of the time, if you get one person to blog about something you've done, then you get nearly many of their users to actually go and see what you've done. I've made a site. I don't know, anybody play World of Warcraft? Okay. So World of Warcraft, I made a website called wowmacroeditor.com. And basically, it's a macro editor for World of Warcraft that includes IntelliSense. And I was so irritated writing macros for this game that I didn't want to do it anymore. So I built this website just so I could use it to play the game, which is pretty ridiculous. Somebody in Russia found it, blogged about it, and next day I had 2,000 users for a little while, and died down over time. But the idea is that a bunch of people just saw it out of nowhere because bloggers blogged about it. And yeah, like I said, automate your marketing. Figure out how you can post consistently. That's the big thing. You don't want to make 5 posts a day because no one will want to subscribe to your feed of any kind. But you don't want to go 3 months without posting either, because then people lose interest and unsubscribe just because you're cluttered on whatever friends list they have. So those are really big, important things to hit. So analytics, again, back to the heat map. This was really cool for me because basically, you can click on the country, see the divisions in that country, and then click on that division and then see little bubbles about how many people are using your stuff. So you can get like really good feedback. But what's most important here is kind of this graph here that we have. And the reason it's important is because I know what areas in my games they left. So where they stopped playing. I can tell that on levels 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to maybe 14, everybody was okay. But on level 14, I realized that I had a 50% exit rate, meaning that half the people probably found it too hard to continue. And this is important information because I went and looked at the level, and half the time the physics were a little bit off where the level was impossible to complete. So there's a really big set of information that you can get here, mainly because you can find out where people left and where people bounced out, things like that. So it's just like monitoring analytics for a website. You can really get a lot of information, things like that, but figure out a way to incorporate that, even if it's hitting your own server, because you'll really get a lot of good feedback from this, and you'll be able to tell what you need to change to get a more consistent source of people using your stuff.